Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. Tonight we're going to make an easy reach tool holder. I have one on the bench and several of you have remarked in the prior lessons, hey, why don't we make one of those? So we listened and let's make one of those. Come on inside. All right, we are back inside. We are going to make an easy reach tool holder. Come on in for a little bit of a look. This is one that I made. Take a guess when I made it. 30 years ago. Some of you have mentioned in our previous lessons that, hey, why don't we make one? We're making one. This one's 30, and right over here was the first one I made 40 years ago. So one of the things I like about what we're doing on our lessons is we are making sheet metal fun, and we're making durable, usable, valuable products out of flat pieces of metal. And that, for some reason, that just tickles me. I just like starting off with a flat piece of metal and coming up with a box or a tool tray. So that's one of the things I love about sheet metal, that it starts out flat and it develops into something useful and durable. So what we're going to do is, let's get a look at this one over here, hon. One more look at this. And then what we're going to do, we're going to make one a little smaller than that. All right, so now here's what we're going to make. We're just going to call it an easy reach tool holder. These are the 4 compartments. We're just going to make one with 4. And we're going to make the pan in the top, just like this one. This is a pan in the top to catch all your valuables, whatever you have that's valuable. And so we're going to call this the wrapper on the outside. And then we're going to have 4 sleeves. I think we called them sleeves. Yeah, sleeves. So let's start with the wrapper. This is our finished product. And the one we're making here, we're going to turn a flange out on the bottom so that it can sit on your workbench. So here is our pattern. Well, I'm going to try to hold this. How's that? Is that pretty good?
Pretty good.
So this is the drawing of what we're going to make. We're going to cut I cut a piece 13.5 by 33.25, and this is the wrapper. So this piece is a little longer than JB, so we're going to go over to Big Daddy. I forget, what do we call the big break, baby? Let's go over to Big Daddy. So let's take this over, and we've made our instructions. Let's look at these instructions. I've marked this in a couple of different ways. X is always you. So X is always your position. So when we're going to bend this in 90 degree, we're bending it up toward X. This has a hem on this end. That hem is going to come up toward X. Look at this one right here. This X is on the back side of the angle icon. So that means that flange goes down. This is one way of marking. The other way of marking is we can actually spell it out. Down here I've written down 90, up 90, which is the same thing as this. Look at this, up toward X, 90 degrees. Even if I draw this in a hurry and it looks different than a 90, unless it's something other than a 90, you can always know that it's a 90. So even if I'm in a hurry and I made something that looked like this, can you see that? Unless I've designated an angle, that's still a 90. Now if I did, and I told you I wanted that to be 135 degrees up toward X, then you would refer to the diagram. But if no degree is called out, it's always at 90. So This is, you can write it out, down 90, or here's X, so that's a down 90. Just two different ways, and I've just shown you both just so you could develop your own personal preference. Across the top is raw. That's just how we say nothing is done to it. There's no flange, there's no hem, there's nothing. It's just raw. Up 90, half-inch hem up. Most of the time, if it's up to us and we can make a decision, we're going to make that hem a half an inch. And also, furthermore, if it's up to us, let's make this flange a half. And the reason we do that is because even on JB, this is called the bending leaf. This component that moves on the front is called the bending leaf, like the leaf on a tree. And so look, that's a half inch. And you're going to see when we get ready to bend up our sleeves, you're going to see how handy that is. This is called the nose bar. This is a pan brake. So since these are in sections, these are called fingers. Finger brake, just like that one. Take a look at that one, hon. All right, so that's a commercial grade finger brake or a box and pan brake. Some of these terms are regional, so wherever you're from, they may call something different. But since our wrapper is longer than JB, let's go over to the big brake and bend this up. So here we are at the big brake. This is a 10-footer. Anytime we're bending something, our number one operation, our first thing that we do is the thing that affects the piece in the smallest way. And so in this case, the thing that affects it the least amount is the hem. So we have a hem up and a hem up. They're both half-inch hems, which the bending leaf here is a half. So look at that. I don't even have a lot of marks I have to hit. This is what we call flush in front. It's a half an inch. Now I'm going to push it back in, flatten it out. That gives us a real nice finished edge. Is Bella making the show, baby? You go, Bella. How old is Bella? Is she 15? 14? 15. 15. All right. Another half-inch hem on the other side. Now you can see that we've turned the hem and we really haven't affected our pattern very much. If the first thing we did was bend these two, I'm trying to do this where I don't, oh, I can see it right there. If I bent this one, this would be a giant difference that we made in our pattern. So we made the least amount of change that we could. Now we have a 90 going away, so that's a down. We also made it a half inch because when it's up to us, flush in the front half, then we can't miss. We can't even go wrong. Now we've turned our half inch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hang this half inch flange over the end of our brake. If we tried to do it out in the middle when we close the brake, we would just smash the progress that we've already made. I'm going to make a little mark because I don't think that bird outside is new, isn't it? All right, so I'm going to mark those. All right. Now we've started with this one first. We're going to go up 90. We're going to bring it out to our next one. A really important part of what we're doing is to do everything in the proper sequence. Let's bend up our second part. So you can see we just made a giant difference in our project with those two bends. You can see that if we would have started with these two, that was going to make the hem difficult. That was also going to make it difficult to turn this 1/2 inch 90. So whenever you're working on your project, sit down and look at it and go through it in your mind and visualize how is what I'm doing going to affect the shape of the project. Because and there are actually sometimes I will number the bends. I will actually look at the project and I will make myself a note, and I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 so that I can see the sequence of operation for the part. So we always do the least amount of change first and then move up to the big changes last. So there we go. There's the wrapper. Let's go back to the bench. All right, so this is the wrapper. We just bent it up over at the big break, the 10-footer, because it was too long for JB Junior bender. Here's the diagram, the drawing of it. Now, I want almost all of your projects to be different than what I'm making. What I'm making is to show you how you can do it. This is what we're making, and these are 4-inch square sleeves. So maybe for your operation you would want 8-inch square, or you would want 3-inch, or you might want 4 by 2. So what I'm hoping that you'll do with these lessons is not copy what we're making to the measurement, but use what we're showing you here and then make something that's useful for your place, for your workshop in your house. So even though I've given you the dimensions of what I'm making, that's just for reference, because yours may be totally different than that. So there's the wrapper. You can see on our drawing here, what we've made is the back side. We've made here, it's 13 and tall, 12 here, 8 there, and 8 1/4. That 8 1/4, I'll explain that to you in a minute, because there is a little something to that. All right, so the next thing let's make is let's make the top. The next thing we're going to make is this pan in the top of the tool holder. It's a 1-inch deep pan. That's Elsa the shop cat. So here's what I've made. And one of the things I've done here is, you see this pan is 8 by 8 1/4. Does that show up good? Mm-hmm. So what I've done is I've drawn the 8. The wrapper is 8 1/4. The pan is 8 1/8 because it has to go inside. So it has to be slightly smaller. So what I've done here, and I want to point this out because for me it's useful. We want to always give ourselves the biggest chance for success. So this is a pan that's 8 1/8 by 8 inches, and it's 1 inch up. And when I say typical, that means all of them are the same. I could have gone around here. I showed you how this was marked. This is another way of marking. I can also just put 1 inch up typical, and you'll know that typical means they're all the same. So this is a 1 inch up, and then a 1/2 inch down, 1/2 inch hem down. Also, I wrote typical, so I didn't have to write on each one. But above and beyond that, I've given you an additional diagram. And sometimes when I'm out in the field, if I'm measuring something that I'm going to come back to the shop and make, this is the only thing I will do, is I will draw exactly what I'm going to make and then put an X. X is always you, X. So this bend is up toward X, this one's up toward X, and then look, here it is again. Here's that same diagram. X is here. That means up toward X, up toward X. This diagram is another way of saying this and this. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend it up an inch and then down a ½ inch hem. And so, oh, one of the things I wanted to show you is when I'm making a cut list, if I know I have the same allowance, this is 1 and this is a half, this one's also 1 and a half, what I will do is I will add these numbers together, 1½ plus 1½, and I'll make a note to myself. I've even made a note here to look, and I'll just write +3. Now I'm not trying to add an 8 1/8 plus an inch plus a half plus a half plus an inch. All I have to do now is add 8 1/8 plus 3 is 11 1/8. Now on this side it's a little smaller, so it's 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. So this is just one of the things that I'll do if I'm going to make something with some detail all the way around. If it's the same on both sides, or even if it's different, I will add these up and I'll make a note in the corner. Now you see I only had to make one thing here because all 4 sides are the same. Sometimes these 2 sides may be longer or shorter, and I might write 3 inches over here for this one, and this one could be 4 1/4 or whatever it calls for. But these were all 4 the same, so I just took the inch, the half, that's 1 1/2 inches, and another inch and another half, that's a total of 3, and I just made myself a mental note, +3. And now I come back to my actual size, 8 plus 3, 8 1/8 plus 3, and that gave me the cut size for the top. So now we have a hem, an open hem, and a 90 up. So let's go to JB. And JB is a ½ inch flush in the front. So we're going to bend this over. We're going to flatten this out.
Now you're not smashing it all the way, right?
I don't want to smash it terribly. See how I've smashed it but give myself a little bit of a fighting chance? And we're going to go and do that same thing all the way around.
On the other piece, you smashed the hem, right?
I smashed it because that was done. That's a great point. On this one, I smashed it all the way because it's done. But what we're going to do with this hem, and you're going to see it here in just a minute, I don't want to smash this one too much because we are still going to slide the wrapper into this open hem. If I smash it all the way, then we got to come along here and open it back up. I'll show you. Once you see this, you're going to go, aha. Well, maybe. You don't have to. Don't feel compelled. Yeah. Don't feel compelled. Okay, so now we're going to bend this pan up. Now it's time for my glasses because now I'm actually going to a mark. And we are going to, this is an up. $90. We have a lot of really nice industrial grade tools, and JB is not one of those. But what JB is perfect for what we're doing right here. And even during the course of an average day, we make some professional grade stuff on JB. So now, in case you haven't noticed, JB is what we call a box and pan or a finger brake, depending on where you're from. And so now, to bend up this last flange, we're going to loosen this one up. And let's just take this one out, right? What good is that even doing? 1 inch. So now we can come to our last part. And because the fingers come out, we can bend up this last bend. So now I can bend this up and it's going to clear out on the outside. I'm going to give this a little bend just to be sure. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of if it was not a finger brake. Now, if you see this right here, I can't bend it up because these are going to interfere with the finger. So I'm just showing you how handy the box and pan is, because we couldn't bend this up, we would stop right there, right? Couldn't go any farther. But we have a finger. Wow, you're good, hon. And now we're going to bend this up nice and slow, just to make sure we don't hang up.
I've been watching you do this for 23 years.
23 years. Hot dog.
Okay, 22 years.
So that allowed us to bend that last bend and make a pan. And that's one of the reasons they call this a box and pan brake. So we took this hem, and now we have to remember this piece is not square. It's 8 1/8 one way and it's 8 inch the other way. So let's take out trusty Dusty here. There's our 8 1/8. And let's see. So what I'm doing here, you know what, let me get this a little closer. This is the raw edge, and this is the hemmed edge. Can you see that hem real good there? I'm going to take this hemmed edge and drop it right over the raw edge. Look at that. So that's how that's supposed to fit. Oh, wait. Look, I wrote front right here. It's a good thing I looked over your shoulder and watched the movie, huh? I had the wrong ending. Okay. All right. All right. So then there's the top. And while we have it here, why don't we just go ahead just so this doesn't try to give us any monkey motion. Let's put a couple rivets in here. Three-quarters. This is a 1/2 inch hem, so I'm coming just below the hem. All right, here we go. So many of these tools we use, Well, I shouldn't. Why did I say so many? All of the tools we use are made to modify and manipulate materials. That's a lot of M's. That are way tougher. The softest thing in this entire shop is us. We are the squishy bag in this whole operation. So you always want to keep yourself at a safe distance. Brace yourself, you know, make sure that whenever that drill bit goes through, all right, so now the top cannot come off. The next thing I want to do, oh, while we're on the subject of the top, we made several lessons ago, but in one of the, somebody sent a comment, and it was on the plenum, which just means air chamber. This part right here is called an end cap. And that, again, it can be is regional. That's what it's always been in my career, is the end cap. But in some places they'll call it a plug end, or they may even have some other name for it. So the way the end cap is made, it's so similar to the top of our tool holder that I told Matt, one of our viewers, that next time I'm doing something that's close, I would go over it. He had a question on the end cap. So I'm going to show you how we make this end cap, and look how close it is. It comes up a half and then down, but it only goes down a half. Our lid went down an inch because we want to be able to put things in there, right? So it's an inch. So the question Matt had was, how did I notch that corner? And so I made this jig that goes on the front of the shear, and when we slide this piece in, it's going to cut on that line right there. If you see that 45, is that angle good, hon? So we're going to bend up a half and down a half, up a half, down a half. But in order to do that, we're going to cut that corner off. So let's come over here to the shear, and we'll get the plenum out of the way. So this question is one that Matt asked, but perhaps some of you also had a question about it. So what we're going to do is cut this off on a 45. So I've turned these upturned flanges, and now I'm just going to cut these corners off. Look, it even says, "Hey, Matt V." So that is the piece I made. It goes flush in the front, and it holds the end cap at the right position to cut these notches. Now, since we have gone this far, I want to introduce you to another tool called the bar folder. Legend has it that the bar folder was the very first piece of metal fabrication equipment. Like way back when they were making the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, or however long ago that was, because I flunked history. This was the first tool they made. Before they made a brake, they made a bar folder. One thing that's nice about the bar folder is it has a backstop built into it. So I can set the depth of how much I want to bend. And again, we're getting back to, I'm not trying to hit a line, just like we did whenever we went flush in the front on the brake. The bar folder has a built-in backstop, and I have it right now set at 1/2 inch. Look at this, see this scale right here? And if I turn this knob, it moves the backstop forward and backward. So I'm going to show you how we would make an end cap. So I'm going in and hitting those built-in stops. I've got them set at 1/2 inch. Bend it over, flatten it out. Bend it over, flatten it out. Now I've got a little stopper right here. When I flip this over, it's going to stop at a 90 degree. So look at that. We just came up a half, down a half. We have this slightly open corner because what we're going to do is once we slide this on the end of the duct, and once we install the end cap, then the duct is no longer a duct. Then it becomes a plenum. So let's look at this plenum one more time. This is how the end cap is made. And to hold the end cap in place, we take our hammer and we bend the corner over. And that keeps the end cap in place. And then we would have to seal it so there's no air leaks. All right, Matt, there you go. So we got a free end cap lesson, and we got a free introduction to the first piece of sheet metal fabrication equipment many years ago, the bar folder. All right, we've made our wrapper. We have a nice hem in the front. We've made our top pant tray, and now we're going to go right on to our sleeves. This is a diagram of what the sleeves are. I made them 4 by 4 inches. That's a nice, easy number. It's easy to remember. So 4, 4, 4, 4. That's 16 plus the half, 16 and a half. And it's 8 inches plus a half here. Taking advantage of that ½ inch every chance we get. That's one less line. We don't have to mark it, and we don't have to look for that mark. So I have a ½ inch 90 up, and here I have a hem turned down. Up, 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 ½ inch 90 up. And what this pattern looks like this. Oh, wait, it doesn't look like that. Were you wondering why that pattern didn't look like that? That pattern, how's that glare, hon? How's that glare right there?
Right there's good.
Right there's good?
Yeah.
So this pattern and this pattern are the same. I've got a hem turned down. I've got an up, and up, and up, and up, and another up. Remember, X is always you. You're always X. So with that, let's go to JB and let's bend one of these up. Don't forget the rule. The first thing you always bend is the function that affects your piece in the smallest way. So that's almost always going to be the hem. And one of the times when it's not the hem is if we were going to, don't go away. Boy, that's such a nice piece. I did all that just to show you this, that we talked about doing things in order in the right sequence so that the bend that we make doesn't hinder the next bend in the sequence. This is one of the few things, like if there's a cross break, this is almost always going to be your first thing you do, cross break. Because this affects your piece even less than a hem. I'm just going to flash that around so you can get it like a diamond. Look at that. Look at that. So the cross break, if there is a cross break, that's almost always, let me think. Man, always is such a sketchy word, but I'm going to say always cross break number 1. Next is the hem. Because look, that didn't change anything. If I needed to bend this up, I can do it. I can still do anything I want to this piece because the modification that I made is very minor. All right, let's double check. This hem is down, which means we're going to flip it over. 1/2 inch flush in the front. And this way, I'm not trying to see a line. I'm just making sure that it's flush in the front. This one's going to be a smashed hem. Good question. 22 years?
We've been working together for 22 years.
22 years. And still in love. All right, so we flattened that hem down. And now we're going to flip this over. And we're going to bend this 90-degree up. 1/2 inch again. See that? Every chance we get, we're going to use that. There's a 90. Now, another one of the benefits of the box and pan is I can bend this up right here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bend this 90 up. Anybody out there in sheet metal is fun land want to guess it's a 1/2. There's a 1/2. Now we have this upturned flange over here. So we are going to come in, hit this one, not a 1/2. Oh, one of the things, let me just, see how this came up and one went inside the other right here. What I did was when this was flat, I took the screwdriver and I pried it. So you always want to perform this operation over a solid surface. So all I did was twist, and that put an offset between these two pieces so they don't come up and hit each other. Look how strong the magnet is on that screwdriver. So I am not pushing hard, I'm just twisting. So this right here, look at this. Thumbs up, right? Can you see this look on my face? Hot dog, right? If I want to do it right here, no, bad dog. Not hot dog. How about right here? No, bad dog. No hot dog. Because if my screwdriver falls out, the next thing I know, I'm going to put myself in a position where I've got to ask you where the Band-Aids are. Let's not do that. So all I did was twist and put a small offset so these two flanges will come up and not interfere with each other. All right, where were we? We were right here. Oh man, we're scratching our sticker, baby. And then the last one, we're going to have to, since this piece we're making is so small, we're going to have to pull it out a little bit and go over the top of the brake, because otherwise we're going to hit the brake. But there's a little wiggle room. Little wiggle room in there. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of, I'm just going to have a little talk with it. We're going to get everything back. And now I'm going to slide that flange inside that hem. And since we're already in the mood, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're not in the mood yet. You can see this is going to end up looking like these two. I did these two while you were at coffee break I mean you, the viewer, you, the listener, not my sweetheart. So, you've seen us bend one up. Now, let's notch one. You're probably going to have reds. I use yellows for notching. Yellows are straight, and reds are for cutting left.
You see the yellows again? You were fast.
The yellow snip is for making straight cuts. And so it would be very difficult to go across a sheet with yellows because it puts your hand right, your hand would have to be buried into the bench to do it. This is the thing I like about these offset snips, is it gets your hand up here out of the way of what you're doing, of your function. So when I'm in the shop, I use yellows for notching because I'm making a straight notch, and this is just the way that I've been doing it for 46 years. But you may not have yellows. We've recommended that you have reds and greens. So let's notch this. I've already marked a 1/2 inch here, a 1/2 inch across here, a 1/2 inch there. You're probably going to have to take my word for it because the glare and the scratch is so fine. And then I've marked here, here, and here. But since you've already seen what one looks like getting bent up, you have a little better idea. Now, some of you that watch a lot of these lessons may get tired of hearing this, but I want you, whenever you're notching, there's an order to the notch. If I can see this piece on my final notch, if I can see it, then that means it can see my eye. If it can see my eye, it can come to my eye. So you'll notice I notched this one here, and then I came over here. Now look, watch what happens when I finish this notch. It goes down. And we're going to do that same thing across here. So we're going to go here, and then notice I'm covering the piece with my snip. That's good. Let's do another good one. First is notches over here. Second one is my snip is covering that little tiny sharp piece. Let's do one wrong. Here we go. We're going to do one wrong. For those of you that watch a lot of our lessons, you've seen this, but for those of you that are new, I want you to learn the right way. So, to do it wrong, I would start over here, and then my next cut would be here. Now, my eye can see this entire piece, and it has a very sharp point. If I can see it, then it has access to my eye. It has a line of sight to my eye. So if I finish that cut right now, you don't know where this piece can go. But since we've gone this far already, we're just going to cover it with our thumb. That was the wrong way. So again, cover that piece so that whenever you finish your cut, it goes away from your eye. Same thing here, away from our eye. So, good. You want to practice always, whenever you're notching, it's the only time you go all the way to the end of your snips. If we were cutting across there, we wouldn't go to the end of our snips. Again, covering this piece with my snip. And I've got this thumb just sitting here doing nothing. I might as well convince that piece to go down. So now, here we are with this piece of 26 gauge galvanized, and it looks just like our drawing. So our first operation is our hem. Here's X, so the hem is going away from us. Little JB sure is handy, isn't it, baby? Which one of our lessons has the link in the description for little JB? Do you remember?
Yeah, but I can add it to this one.
Okay. So Stacy, that feels weird for me to call her Stacy because she's sweetie or baby. But for those of you that won't call her baby or sweetie, you can call her Stacy. She will put in the description the place where we found JB and ordered it. So there's our hem. Now let's come back here at our 1/2 inch. 90. Now we got to go back to the bench and give this a little bit of a persuasion. So always over the bench, and it doesn't matter on this particular application which way you're going. I'm just turning it. All I really want to do is generate a little offset so whenever these two come together, they don't interfere with each other. Little offset, that's all we need. All right, it's probably so little that you might not even be able to see it. So back to our flush in the front half. I'm pretty sure that everything that we've made on our channel so far can be purchased at a very reasonable price. But I'm not here to show you how to shop. I want to share with you what I've learned and what has been my occupation for 46 years, I think, this year. I still love it. You might notice that in the title of our channel. And what I love about it is, like I've mentioned earlier, taking a flat piece and turning it into a useful, durable project. But I love the visualization to look at something like this and figure out what did that look like when it was flat, and to deconstruct. When I look at a finished project, I want to deconstruct it, and then that does great things for my brain. And I would encourage you to do the same thing, to work on your visualization and deconstruction, and work on mechanical thinking. It has paid such good dividends for me. It does good things to your brain. At the end of the day, you have a sense of accomplishment. And I agree that this trade is not right for everybody. As a matter of fact, it's probably only right for a very, very small portion of the community. But so some of you may never pick up a hammer or a pair of snips, but even if you don't, I want you to watch these lessons and take from it the gift of mechanical thinking. So whenever you look at something, when you look at a gas pump, you look at a vending machine, look at it, look for the seams, look how it came together, and look for how it was manufactured. And for me, that's always been a great source of entertainment. But obviously, that means I'm easily entertained. All right, so we've been up our second one. And before we go any further, let's put this one together. And we're going to put in some rivets here. First, we're going to drill some holes. Always be mindful of where the drill bit is going to go. And then you grab your rivet gun and you put in the rivets. Squeeze the rivet gun real hard.
What do you got over there?
Just putting in Just using my rivet gun.
Hey, what is that? You get yourself a new tool?
Wait, how long have we had this? Boy, you know what? I could put rivets in all day long. What's this? That's a rivet. I could do that, and at the end of the day, I don't have the talon. So,
Claw.
the claw. So this is the best riveter in the world. This is made by the shoe manufacturing company, the people who invented the pop rivet. It's the eyelet for your shoelaces. And then the sheet metal guys came along and said, hey, wait a second. I think we could use that. So again, here's the one we just bent up. I'm going to tuck this flange in behind this hem. See what we got there?
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself pushing and straining and having a hard time assembling this, then stop. Stop. And look at where the holdup is. Look for the problem. Look for the interference and fix that. Don't think that I can solve this problem with just a massive amount of pressure. A massive amount of pressure usually ends up with a massive amount of leakage. And that doesn't impress anybody. All right, so we drilled 2 holes. And we're going to put our new pop riveter to use. The mandrels, that's the part that comes off of a pop rivet. Mandrel, M-A-N-D-R-E-L. The mandrel. And it collects them inside. So if you're working in an environment where you don't want to leave the mandrels behind, that's really handy. Okay, so let's go back to our wrapper. And let's put, you know what I want to do? The first thing I want to do is let's line up all of our flanges. So hem down, flange on the left. Hem down, flange on the left. Right, so far so good. Hem down, flange on the left. Why not make them all the same? It doesn't cost any more. Hem down, flange on the left. See what we have there? Man, that's a good looking video right there, baby. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna pull these together and we're gonna measure this. That is 8 1/8. 8 1/8. 8 1/8. All right. So one of the things, that's our last part of the support bar, but done is we just took our 4 sleeves, we bunched them up nice and tight, and we measured it 8 1/8. So right now we're going to make what I'm going to call the back panel. Size to be determined. I didn't make a cut list because sometimes metal can grow or shrink. So rather than determine this size before these were all made and grouped together, I just waited and got the actual number. So this is 8 1/8 square. So we're going to go 8 1/8, 8 1/8, and we have a 1/2 inch 90 and a 1/2 inch 90. So our size is 9 1/8 by 9 1/8. I could have done that. But water under the bridge, didn't do it. So now 9 1/8 by 9 1/8. Oh, I've got a good feeling about this. I got a feeling. Ooh. All right, 9 1/8. By 9 1/8. There's a ruler on the left side on our particular shear, left side. There was also one on the right, but that corner's too hard to get to. We're going to turn a 1/2 inch flange. And since we're going to turn a 1/2 inch flange, we got to notch these corners. We showed you this one on the grab bag of tools. Each one of these steps is a different dimension: 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2. The weird stuff is over here: 3/8, 7/16, 5/8, 1 3/4, 2 inch here. Pretty handy little tool. All right, so since this is going to go on the back, nobody's going to see it. We're going to go ahead and, remember, cover that piece that's coming off. See it? See how it goes down when we're done? I think I've already shown you the wrong way to do it. 1/2 inch just because it's easy. And they're not going to pay us more if we do this the hard way. 1/2 inch 90. One of the reasons, well, the reason why we cut these off at a 45, you're going to see. We didn't need that to be a square pan. We didn't, because really this is not a pan. It's the back to all of our sleeves. Now, since I've notched these off at a 45, here's the reason we do that. We're up to our last bend. Right? We can't do it, we can't bend it this way. And it might not be the right size for that, even though in this case, look at that, that's sweet. But that's not, that doesn't teach us anything, and we're here to learn. So we're down to our last bend. The nice thing about the 45-degree notch is almost all of our sheet metal bending equipment is built on a 45-degree. So since I've cut this at a 45-degree, I can bring that up till it stops and get my 90. So if I would have cut that a square notch like we did the top, you see I would have had to use the box and pan, but I mean, I had to use a box and pan because I had a square notch. The 45-degree notch, I can make my last bend right out in front. So let's get all of our flanges, hems down, flanges all facing me. And all I want to do here is tie all these sleeves together. All right, hon, why do I always make it so tight? Okay, right, you know what I'm saying? So let's do that and that. And this is the reason we keep a bunch of these vice grips right here. Look at that. All right, so I've got these all clamped where I want them. I have a few of these vice grips left. I don't know, can your camera see right here? Right here where my pencil mark is, right there. It says Ken. I bought these from my dad. My dad was a welding supply salesman among one of his qualities. And I bought these from him in 1978. And right now it's 2025. I have two of them. Also, I bought at the same time that I'm going to try to always have at least one because I lose them sometimes. On a job site, I might lose one. And I want to make sure I always have at least one. All right. So what we're going to do here is put a couple rivets in here. I'm going to push this down. Can you hear that? That noise that I just made? These are 1/8" rivets. This is actually an 1/8 by 1/8. Also known as a number 42. All right. I like that. I like that. Now, let's see. I'm going to put those at the top. I've lined all of our laps going the same way, which put this rivet at the top of the sleeve. And so that whenever we're sliding something in and out of the sleeve, we're less likely to catch the rivet at the top. If we put them on the bottom, can you look in there, baby? There's a chance while we're sliding a tool in, we could hit that rivet. Can you see the rivet in the hole? So we're going to put them in rivets on top, that way we have a clean floor when we're sliding stuff in. Now let's put our sleeves into our wrapper. Man, I don't see anything about this that I don't like. Hot dog. You know how sometimes you look at something and you go, I don't like that. I'm going to change vice grips. We're going to go to a couple of these. Just so we can keep this group tight. There. I should have put it on before I took the other one off. That'd have been awesome. Okay. Now our sleeves are all clamped together. I just brought it out flush with the front of our wrapper. Right? So far, so good. All right. And in keeping what we did before, we put the rivets near the top so we would have less likely interference. We're going to put these rivets right here. Hot dog. Let's see. Well, we got a whole box of rivets. It'd be a shame not to use them. Rivet near the top. Excuse my reach.
It's been a while since we made a video.
Isn't it great? Don't you
Yeah.
love making them? I love it. We love making these for you guys. I'm glad you guys stopped by and watched, learn. Even if you never pick up any of these tools, I like the fact that you would watch and learn and challenge yourself. What a great time in world history to become more capable and more self-reliant. The more things you can do yourself and the less you have to rely on outside sources, I think the better off you are. I'm going to go ahead and let's just put one more rivet in these. Put them right here. This will take some of the wobble out of it. Oh no, now I got this. Can you see that? Everything in life is a trade-off. But I sure like this trade. I have one more piece. The back is tied together with that back. So not only did that tie all of our sleeves together, it also gave us a very substantial back. So that if we just throw tools in here, they're not going to knock the back end out. So right now we're left with one. See this right here? I don't like that. So what we've gonna do here is I'm gonna open up this hem. Wow, that one was easy. Look how good this one is. Again, make sure you're doing this on a bench, right? And I'm just twisting and working my way across. I'm not pushing. So I've opened up the two hems on the bottom of these sleeves. Here's what we're gonna fix right here. Can you see that movement? So the last thing we have is right here. Let's see if I made a drawing for it, is a support bar. It turned out to be 10 1/4 by 1.5 inches. So it's 1 inch and then a 1/2 inch hem and then an inch down on each side. That's what this is right here. 10 1/4 by 1.5. Obviously there are no instructions because we're making everything up as we go. So,
When you fabricated yours, you used a spot welder, correct?
yes, so if you zoom in on this, when I made these, there's a weld at every intersection. Everywhere where this came together, there's a weld. So I didn't want to do that with this. So what I did do is, we're going to go there. I don't need to bend that by hand. We got JB right here. I'm going to bend this here. Bam. And if that dimension needs to change, if I need to make it wider or narrower, we'll flatten it out and revisit it. So let's look inside here, see how we're looking. I still got a gap right here and my piece is tight. So let's take this, flatten it out. And I'm going to go to where my mark was before. If you guys weren't watching, I would have eyeballed it, but. And I'm just going to move this bend in a little bit. We're trying to close up that gap between our sleeves. Let's take this bend out. And over it there. I talked earlier, I made a mention that whenever we made the back to our sleeves, we waited till we bundled our sleeves to make that piece, because sometimes things move and grow. Man, that's looking pretty good right there. Oh, you know what? You know what's going to work out really good? Is I've got to drill out these rivets. Now that we're putting this support bar in, I got to take this back out. Pretty cool, huh? Now I'm going to put this in. See the hem out here where it's going to be exposed to us, and then this one's raw because I want to slide it into these open hems. And like I said, don't fight this stuff, because if you fight it, you'll lose. So I'm going to give that a push, a little downward pressure, and I'm looking for the spot where the holdup is. So you can see what I've done is I've driven the raw edge of our support bar into these hems. Wouldn't that be great if that rivet actually goes through the support bar? Wouldn't that?
Mm-hmm.
Just by sheer dumb luck? Hot dog. Hot diggity dog. Okay, so now let's go back to our tool tray that we made so long ago. Grab our seamers. Now I'm just going to flatten out. I opened up that hem to get that support bar in there. We're just going to flatten it back out. There you have it. Yeah, isn't that nice? That support bar tied the front two together, the pan and the back. So if we wanted to do this, we could do that. If that's all we wanted. Maybe we wanted to put this custom knife that my son Justin made. Look at that. Maybe that could go in there. One more thing, maybe a handful of screwdrivers. And a handful of pliers. So there you have it. What we, oh, and don't forget, there's a top. And you can make the top deeper. This is just 1 inch.
And screw it to your bench.
Screw it to your bench. Yep.
Or mount it on the wall. Or no.
Yeah, you could go through, you'd have to screw it through this back flange here and that one there, and all you would have to do is take your hand seamers, flatten that hem up, and you could put 2 screws in here, 2 in there. Then I would just flatten these up, and that would hang nicely on the wall. That's a good idea, baby. All right, so we called this the Easy Reach Tool Holder, and as you can see, I have one that I made 30 years ago, one that I made 40 years ago. So we don't need this one. We already have them. So we haven't done this before, but what I would like to do is, my wife and I want to give this to one of you. Wherever you are in the world, we have friends all over the world. In every corner of the globe, we have friends. If you want us to send this one to you, send us an email, sheetmetalisfun@yahoo.com. Say, hey, Ken. What is it? Oh, enter name here. Hey,
For a
Ken.
raffle.
What?
For a raffle.
Yeah. So, hey, Ken, this is Bob, and I live in Canada or Patagonia, and I would like to have that Easy Reach tool holder for my very own. I would like to have that Easy Reach tool holder, Ken. If you will mail that to me, I would love to have it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make, if you want this, I'm going to send it to you anywhere you are in the world free. Then you get this one that's right off of our lesson. And you send us an email, sheetmetalisfun@yahoo.com. Did I say that right? And we're going to send this to somebody. So send us an email if you want your name And the hat, oh, here's the hat. This hat. We're gonna, a sheet metal hat. We're gonna write your name down on a piece of paper, and then August 15th, we're going to, I'll probably have Stacy do it, my sweetheart. Reach in here, pull out one, and that we're gonna mail it to you. We're gonna wrap it up in a box. We're gonna mail it your way. We picked August 15th for the date because that is our 23rd anniversary of our first date. So 23 years of amazingness that Stacy is. If you want it, if you want this easy reach tool holder right here, send us an email. Yep, I want it. Put my name in the ring. Put my name in the box. We'll put your name in the box. We're going to reach in there August 15th, draw it out, and whoever you are, we'll call you up, tell you you're the winner, and we will put this in the mail, and we will send it your way. And we're going to put
Wait, no. On the back.
right on the back. Oh, good idea. But what if everything falls out and you sign it?
Really signed the back. Come on.
You're right. All right. I'll hold the camera.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, sign it. I'll hold the camera.
Don't show.
I won't. No, I'm not. All I'm getting is your hands, baby. Oh, you have nice writing. Shh, don't talk while you're writing. All right, there we go. I signed it. Stacy signed it. Sheet metal is fun. If you want this coming your way, you send us an email. Just, hey, put my name in the box. And August 15th, we're going to draw the names out. Somebody's getting it. I don't need it. I already had this one for 30 years, that one for 40 years. Maybe one of you can take this, keep it 50 years. We'd be tickled if you did. If when you get it, send us a picture. I want it like this. I want this kind. Here's the kind of smile I want. Can you see that? Did you see the smile I want? I want the rider smile. This is how our grandson smiles. That's the smile we're looking for. All right, it's been fun. We're glad you guys stopped by. Sheet metal is fun. Tool, easy reach tool holder. Thanks for coming by. We're so glad to do this. We're having a good time. I hope this comes through in our lessons, and we want to continue to help you guys just to share what I've learned. It changed my life. Maybe it could change yours as well. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one. See you guys later.